Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Four Lights Wellness. My name is Omid. In this video, I am going to be doing a very unique spinal workout. This is one of the neurological infant development exercises. Every single one of you watching this video went through this phase, whether you remember it or not. And that's when you were about, 0 to about 4 months old, even up to about 6 months, maybe even a year if you were slow. But the idea is when we're born, we got 6 body parts that we start to learn how to control. We got the back of the head, we got the back of the 2 shoulders, back of the 2 hips, and then our tailbone. That's how we're actually kind of using a serpentine-like motion to move around. I remember when my daughter was this age, you'd put her down in the crib on her back, you'd turn around and go grab the laundry or something, come back, and she'd be like 5-6 inches away. I'm like, how did you do that? You don't have arms and legs yet. This is how she did it. Real quick tip. To do this, if you can't hold your legs up in the position that we're going to show you in a little bit, a Swiss ball can help quite a bit to help wake up that nervous system. And this is something that I just don't talk about enough. How do you know when a Swiss ball is actually fully inflated? If it's hard, it's too inflated. But if it's too soft, it's not going to have the same neurological effect. If you take your thumb and you just push it down inside of the Swiss ball, what should happen is the depression ring should be about 2 inches. Any more or less, it's not going to have the same stabilization demand on your nervous system, and you're just going to stay asleep. So, why do I use a Swiss ball for this? What you're going to do is you're going to lie on your back. And like I said, back of the head, back of the 2 shoulders, and the back of the hips with the tailbone. So, the feet are just balanced on this Swiss ball through here. Like I said, if you can keep the legs up for 3 to 5 minutes at a time, do so. Otherwise, I'm just going to show this with the Swiss ball for most of the normal people that can't do that. What I am looking for here is to wake up all of the extension rotation of the body. The reason is this is the first time in an infant's life where it can do this. It can't really move anything else, but it can control the top with the eye movement and the breathing pattern. And then there's a reflexive movement at the tailbone. I'll show you that at the end of the video. Stick to if you really want to get nerdy with me. But the arms are not part of this. So I'm either going to reach the arms up overhead or I'm just going to cross them across the body like this. The way this works, the sphenoid bone inside of the skull attaches all of the different facial muscles and eye muscles and jaw muscles and everything, and it's a pretty big gyroscope for the brain. And it's a very fascinating bone because it actually talks directly to the coccyx, the tailbone. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep the tongue on the roof of my mouth, and I'm going to turn my eyeballs to the right. Let's say I'm 3 months old and mommy makes a funny face. I'm going to look over at her. And what happened is now the ball moved that way. If it doesn't, you got a problem. There is something disrupting this contralateral movement in the body. And you can kind of imagine it like when you're walking. You put one foot forward, it's the opposite arm that goes forward to counter-rotate. Otherwise, you'll just turn. So, I'm going to look over and I'm just going to feel for the ball rolling that way. That's it. And then I'm going to turn and go the other way, and the ball is going to roll that way. That's what I'm looking for. This is just a nice little massage for your spine, for your spinal cord, for the dura mater of the spine. Just making sure everything is working really well. The same thing happens with flexion and extension. And again, this isn't just me turning the head up, it's me looking up and actively pushing my head into the ground. Otherwise, what's going to happen is I'm just going to crimp up at my suboccipital, C1, C2, C3, and that's going to cause tension headaches, migraines, all sorts of issues. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actively push my head into the back of the floor, and I'm going to look in that direction. And what I'm feeling for is the tailbone to tuck underneath. Now what should be happening is that ball should be rolling towards me as a reflex. As I look down, again, pressing the head into the ground just a little bit and tucking my chin, getting longer in the back, shorter in the front, I should feel that tailbone and sacrum moving away from me, i.e. bigger back arch as the spine gets flatter here, and the ball rolling away. If that's working really well, kudos to you. Now let's start to combine the two of them. I'm going to take the head in a circle and I'm going to see what happens to that ball. So I got my eyes straight forward. I'm going to look to the left, the ball moves to the right. I'm going to look up, the ball moves towards me. Looking to the right, the ball moves to the left, and I look down, the ball moves away from me. You're trying to make sure that that's happening. If it's not, you got a spinal locomotion disruption problem. That's big fancy words for your spine's too tight. And if you're doing things harder than this in the gym and this isn't happening, well, that might be why you had the injury that found me in the first place, right? Here's what we're really trying to do. We're trying to get this locomotion pattern so well and so ingrained and big that the rest of the spine starts meeting in the middle. If I magnify any of this, we'll start to get a lot of motion in the rest of the spine. I'll move my arms out of the way so you can see the rest. The hip starts actually moving as the tailbone moves that way. This hip moves up. You can add the arms into this too. As I turn my head that way, why would I be doing that? Well, maybe because the shoulders are rolling, so I can reach the arm in that direction. I can push this arm harder into the ground to get some leverage on it, and you'll see that hip on the opposite side came way up. That's just fascial connections at the infant development part of things, but well, you're an adult now. You got lats, you got obliques, you got a lot of other stuff that's going to help lift you. Eventually, you get to the point where you can actually start doing the true inchworm. If I'm in this position, the legs are just kind of dangling here. And what I'll do is I'll what my mentor Paul Chek says, I'll pick fruit. I'll look in the direction that I'm going to go into here. I'm going to cross the body with this arm and I'm going to reach as far as I possibly can going up. But kids don't pick up their head. They don't have the strength yet. What they do is they push down and back into that direction as far as possible. And that's how they learn how to load the hip and the shoulder while they're side flexing up through here. If I do that far enough, did you see how my tailbone lifted towards me? Well, now as I come down, I just moved up about 2 inches. That's how my daughter was able to get to the other side of the crib. As I go to the other side, I'm reaching, I'm pushing this shoulder into the ground, just like that. I'm loading this hip, and I'm reaching, that tailbone comes up, and I come back down. This microphone's gonna be fun. I'm just gonna go through a bunch of this. I'll hit my head on this little Murphy bed through here. And what you'll see is, just by reaching, getting that rolling pattern into the spine, I'm moving quite a bit. But this is about coordination. This is not about strength necessarily. And if your spine's not neurologically coordinating that movement easily and effortlessly, there's a couple of things that might have happened. Number one, you might have skipped this phase of development altogether. There's a lot of kids that just, they don't spend enough time there. They don't really get it deep enough into the system. And it starts to show up in their patterns as an adult. And I can see that 2 seconds. The other thing that might have happened is you might have had a concussion, a traumatic brain injury, some sort of neurological deficit or something. You might have had metals poisoning, some sort of parasite, something that disrupted this signal. And now the body's locomotion has kind of gone out of kilter a little bit. A couple of other things that might have happened. You might have just sat for too long, for too many years, and now the spine's been so stiff and tight that it couldn't access the serpentine-like motion. And then it just said, well, I'm an adaptable human being. I'm going to figure out a brand new way to do this by using flexion extension and side flexion extension. You see every now and then there's people that kind of go side to side when they walk. It's not actually rotating. That's somebody that also needs this. There's one other big one. If your spine starts to get some degenerative changes with this, if there's any sort of degenerative disc disease, osteoporosis, or arthritis, those types of things, a lot of times this rotation can actually start to cause some irritation and pain in the facet joints. That could potentially disrupt this as well. If that's you, you'll know it because you'll try this and in 2 seconds your back's going to be all sorts of pain. Your neck's going to hurt and you'll get some migraines and things like that. One last little thing that I want to talk about with this is TMJ. I mentioned the sphenoid bone in there. the targoid muscles attach directly to it, and they will disrupt this pattern. If your left TMJ is super tight, that sphenoid gets turned to the left, you'll have a left head tilt, and now you'll turn in asymmetric patterns through the entire body. Remember, if I got a left asymmetric tilt here, what's the tailbone doing? It's turning to the right. So now you got knee problems, you got ankle problems, there's all sorts of stuff. This is a fantastic way to reset a lot of that. I'm going to have another video coming out soon about some specific exercises you can do to reassess all of this stuff and fix it on your own without having to go getting balloons, inflated in your nose and cracking the sphenoid bone back into place. I've had it done. It ain't something I want anybody else to go through unless you really, really need it, because it's no fun. But that's it for this video. I hope this information is very helpful to you guys. As always, have a happy and healthy rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one.